So hi everyone, I am Jeremy Zapanta and I will be discussing how to make a stylistic analysis. So let's get started. Um, um, so in making stylistic analysis, there are 5 points that we need to consider. First is the audience, theme and intention, methods of development, tone, and emotion. So let us first talk about audience. Next slide. Okay, audience. So under audience, we have also certain key points. Audience are the general or they are specific group of people. That is the definition of audience. What is the source or does that tell us anything? So in making a stylistic analysis, we need to identify the type of audience, okay, in that certain text that we want to analyze. Let's say, for example, that text is just for women, okay, because there is certain text was written only for women because that was the target audience, okay. That is how we're going to start with our stylistic analysis by knowing our audience or what is the text is trying to convey to the audience. Okay, so next we have theme and intention. So under theme and intention, we have 33 points. We have what statement about a human condition is made, or what is the writer's purpose, or put another way, or why did he or she write this. So after identifying our target audience, now we will identify the intention and the theme of that certain analysis. Why did the writer wrote that certain text? Okay, you need to analyze that. You need to state that in your stylistic analysis. Okay, next. So next we have methods of development. So under methods of development, we have examples here. Whether it is argument or persuasion, it is a narration, it is description, cause and effect, comparison, contrast, process analysis, analogy, definition, example, or it is classification. So you need to identify also the method, okay, the method of development that was used by the author. Whether that certain text is more on argumentation or more on persuading someone, or it is more on narrating a story, okay, or it is a cause and effect. Okay, you also need to identify the methods of development. So next we have the tone. So under tone, which of the following adjectives describe the tone of the article? So we have here conversational, informal, exaggerated, ironic, formal, more written than spoken, forceful, gory, strong, conscious, lacking in description, shorty, witty, statistical, figurative, rhythmic, full of imagery. So those examples of those adjectives are example of tone, okay? The tone of a certain text. If it is ironic, if it is formal, or if it is informal. So you also need to determine the tone of the certain text by what we call this, by scrutinizing the adjectives that was used in that certain text. Okay. So next we have the emotions. So how has the writer achieved that emotion? What do you feel as you read it, and why? Do you think the writer has manipulated your emotions, and how? So here in emotions, it is more on giving your personal opinion while reading the text. Did the text were able to persuade your emotions, or were able to change your principle in life? So that falls under emotion. So next we have the however. So in however, there is also the writing style to consider. So first we have consider his choice of words, which is called diction, and his sentence structure, which is called syntax. Which technique has the writer used? You need to provide an example. Explain why the example is an effective choice. Okay. So here in however, you need to identify certain three things. Not just the writing style, but you need to consider the words of choice, okay? And you need to explain the effectivity of the choice, why it is effective, and why do you think the writer used that certain technique, okay? So next, an overall description of style. So which of these best describe the whole text? So you need to identify whether the text is colloquial, humorous, formal, aggressive, terse, epigrammatic, ironical, satirical, or poetic, or earnest. So you need to identify those things. Okay, if that certain text is colloquial, or if it is humorous, so you need to identify in order for you to have the overall description of the style that the author was able to use. So next, let me just fix my camera. So next we have the diction. Here are some examples of words usage. Design. Okay, that is an example of the words that a certain author used. Which choices has the author made? Give an example. Explain why the choices are effective. So here in diction, those are the three key points that you need to consider in order for you to formulate or to identify the diction of that certain text. Okay? So next we have the syntax. So here are some ways of describing sentence structure or the syntax. Decide which choices the author has made. Say if they are effective and give examples. Are the sentences short and simple or long and complex? Is there a mixture of long and short ones? What effect is achieved? Are there any rhetorical questions? If so, what effect did they have? So here in syntax, you need to identify the sentence structure. If there is a rhetorical devices that the author used, it is more on dealing with the sentence structure, how the author formulated his ideas in words, and how it was able to convey you as a person. So next we have the organization. So the key points for organization, we have considered the broad pattern of development the author has used. Give examples to show how it works. How effective are those examples? So those are key points that you need to ponder in identifying the whole organization of the text. Next we have introduction and conclusion. So in introduction, you need to identify if the introduction or your introduction must contain are they effective, are they related, or how. So you need to really understand the whole text. You really need to read it carefully in order for you to formulate an effective, or let's say a job well done stylistic analysis. So you really need to read the text, the introduction down to conclusion in a very formal way. Next we have logical order of development. So here, how have the events or points been ordered? Are they chronological? Are they ordered by importance? Where is the most important idea? So those are the key points for logical order of development. You just really need to what we call what's the writer? You just really need to really memorize, not memorize, but you really those key points. Those key points are really important. That's why in making analysis stylistic analysis, the key points that I mentioned earlier is very important. Next we have transitional devices. So again, the key points for transitional devices is how is influence achieved in the text, how are the ideas in the paragraphs linked. So you also need to identify the transitions of idea from this idea to another idea, because there are authors who is very creative in making transitions of idea. Okay, so you really also need to identify that style, the creativity of that certain author. Okay, so next we have the perspective. So key points for perspective we have what is the writer's point of view. First, it is if it is for the first person, second person, the third person, or detached. So you really need to identify the point of view of that certain text in order for you to identify in order for you to identify his main target audience, if it is for the first person or the second person or for a group of people. Next, we have second key point for under perspective. We have why is this perspective effective? So you also need to state those things. Why do you think that the opinion of that certain author is effective? Because you were able to read the text, and the text was able to do something with your emotion. Maybe it was able to persuade you or change your principles. So you need to also to identify the effectiveness. Okay, is the narrator reliable? Why or why not? So above all of those things that we've discussed, the emotions, the tone, the audience, the perspective, the introduction, the conclusion. Now it is very also important to know if the narrator is reliable. It's because as a reader, I would be very glad if I was able to read an authentic text that was written by a well-experienced narrator. That is also very important. So how you're going to identify if the narrator is reliable? Maybe you should go for further research about him in Google. So if you think that if you were able to see some information that make you authentic as an author, then it's your choice to read his work. But it is very important to have an authentic author with a very nice or very strong foundation of experience that will really help us to change our principles or to make our life better as we read or analyze the text. So I hope that you were able to learn something about my report about stylistic analysis. Once again, I am Jamrin Zapata, and thank you so much for watching.